Hello and welcome to Dialogue. As we celebrate another International Women's Day, we see more and more people raising their voices for women's rights and gender equality. Around the world, women are a force to be reckoned with. They drive 70 to 80% of consumer spending decisions. And at the Tokyo Olympic Games, women made up more than 50% of the athletes of the top 3 countries in the final medal standings, with China leading with a record-breaking 69% of female athletes. To shed light on the expanding role of women in the workplace, the consumer market, and sports industry, I'm glad to be joined in the first half by Jane Swan, CEO of Trip.com Group, and in the second half by Yang Yang, Winter Olympics gold medalist and chairperson of the Beijing 2022 Athletes Commission. That's our topic. I'm Xu Qingduo. Welcome to the show, Jane. So more than half of your company's employees are women, and over 40% of middle-level management positions at the company are held by women. So these numbers are higher than the industry average. So what are the policies at Trip.com that allow the company to achieve a much better gender equality in recruitment, I believe in promotion too here?
Yes, as a company, we have implemented many measures which encourage the female leadership in our company. For example, when females are pregnant, we offer free taxi to bring them to work and take them home. When their baby are born, we give them 800 as a welcome gift and 3,000 as education fee. And when they come back to work, we also offer flexible working hours, and we just recently take the policy that every employee can work 3+2, meaning 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. All these policies are very supportive of family and of our female leaders.
Mm-hmm. Well, yourself is a working mother, and I'm sure you understand the challenge, to balance between work and parenting. Based on your own experience, like psychologically or in practice, what do you do to handle those challenges?
Yeah, it is very challenging, yet very rewarding. I keep on telling our working mothers that being working mothers, we need to be prepared to invest twice as much of the efforts as the other people. Yet, when we get our rewards, it is also twice as much as the other people who only invest in one perspective. So for me, when I'm not traveling, I try to come to work very early in the morning, 6 to 7 o'clock. And then I start with my one-on-one meetings at 8 o'clock, back to back. At 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, I try to pack up all my work papers and bring home. So if I'm not traveling, I try to have dinners with my families and help with my kids with their homework when they were young. And now they are older enough, so they can work. When I'm working, they're doing their homework alongside with me. But late in the evening, after they go to sleep, I normally start with my overseas meetings because 9 p.m. US market opens and Europe is still in session. So normally my overseas meetings are being conducted during late in my evening here. That's how I try to balance my work and life. From my personal experience is that if you can balance it out, females are more dedicated to their work. Because the company are thoughtful supporting them, they're very grateful. In return, they spend more time, are more dedicated to the work. So I truly don't think because of the time they spend with their family, they need to make sacrifice at workplaces. And also Chinese tradition is very supportive for working mothers. My kids were very well taken care of by my parents. We stay very close. And it's good for the children because they learn from grandparents. So there is a way you can achieve a work-life balance. For the employees who do not have grandparents to take care of their children, I always encourage them that they need to build up a good supporting system in their neighborhood, in their workplaces, just in case they need to work overtime. They have somebody in the neighborhood or in their workplace to support each other. And government can also do quite a lot by building community nurseries, community daycare center, or in case their parents are working overtimes or on business trips. The community center can be also supportive for those who do not have grandparents to take care of grandchildren.
Yeah, be supportive. Be supportive, obviously, community-wide and also nationwide. Well, in 2021, we saw a new record of female CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, but the new high was only 41 out of 500. That number translates to only around 8% of female representation at the top leadership for the biggest businesses around the world. So the number, has risen actually for the third year, despite it being really small here. Why is the progress moving so slow, in your opinion?
Yeah, I strongly believe that females can bring lots of strengths and wisdom to the business, because if you look at the spenders in our economy, a lot of decisions are made by females. So at least 50% of our customer portfolio are females. And also business partners, people who are engaged in the travel industries, a lot of them are females as well. So when I observe the female leaders, they have demonstrated a lot of strengths. For example, they're very good with putting themselves in other people's shoes, very good with communication, very good with team building, and also are very willing to make personal sacrifice for the best interest of their teams. We just need to make sure when we promote our females and males, we hold the same standard for them without any bias. And also at individual levels, I also coach our female leadership team that not only we can deliver solid results, we also need to push ourselves out of the comfort zone to go through the promotion process, just as our male leaders do. So it needs to be a top-down and bottom-up efforts to make sure that gradually we achieve a good balance in the leadership roles.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are talking about the leadership in the business world. In terms of that, do you see there's a difference between, or you mentioned some differences, between male and female leadership. You actually mentioned that in a way there are some strength for the female leadership, right? And do you think in general there's a, how do you describe the difference between male and female leadership? I'm not saying which one is better, but I guess they are different because of the existing differences, probably.
Yeah, I think both male and females bring lots of good strengths and also perspectives into our team. A lot of males, particularly in the engineering team, are very logical, forward-looking, make very bold moves. A lot of female leaders are very good with team building, good with cross-department collaboration, good with communication. So when you combine the strengths from female and male, you have a very effective team. So I always look forward to building our teams with the combined strengths, both from female leadership team as well as male leadership teams.
Well, that's a good description. If you only have male leadership, you have lost half of your strength, for any company, right?
Right.
Well, recent years we have seen the rise of this, whatever you call it, she economy or female spending power. And your company also published a white paper on female, travelers last year. How is the increasing spending power of women probably affecting, changes in the consumer market, in the industry, in particular in the travel and in the tourism industry worldwide?
Very much so. So after the COVID, we have noticed a lot of changes. For example, people are spending a lot of money for booking the wellness related package. Areas where you can do meditation, gets lots of hit and lots of reservation. Secondly, people are booking a lot of packages for families. Thirdly, our young generation are making bookings to the area that is less promoted and less marketed. So these areas normally are economically less developed. So the young generation are using travel as a philanthropy. So we call it philantourism. So the kids are bringing the high spenders into this area and create job opportunities in these areas. And a lot of decisions, lots of bookings are made by females. So how we can best understand our female customers, understand the ecosystems, which is supported by 50% of the female partners, become a very important topic in our team. So it's very important for us to recruit and retain talents which understand our potential customers and make sure everything we offer is very thoughtful and welcome by our female customers.
Well, as we said, there's increasing attention to this gender balance. But also there are people, they are warning that, we cannot go extreme. Raising the gender balance is a good thing, but it cannot become a bit, if you go extreme, is about some people would call it radical feminism, that then will create some antagonism, unnecessary antagonism that probably will hurt the business or the cause of gender balance over there. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I agree. I think both male and females bring great strengths into our business. We should really combine the strengths between male and female. The reason right now we promote female equality is because, like my grandmother's generation, females were very smart. But the traditional way is that for female to stay home to raise kids. It was until my mother's generation where they were taught female can hold up half of the sky. They enter into the workplaces, yet very few of them become C-level executives. So it's for us, much is given, much is expected. Our generation, boys and girls, both go to school. In the college, if you look at the grades, a lot of girls also get very good grades. So we ought to offer equal opportunity for boys and girls. So I think I agree with you that we shouldn't bias one gender against another. Yet we just need to offer equal opportunity and let them shine by utilizing their strength.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you for your insights and your time to share with us. Now I will be joined by Winter Olympics gold medalist and chairperson of the Beijing 2022 Athletes Commission, Ms. Yang Yang. Yang Yang, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
After a very successful career of speed skating, you made a decision to devote yourself to gender equality in the sports industry. So what's behind the decision?
It is always matter to me to raise the awareness of more women's participate in sports, not only winter sports, because I think it's important to have the women to inspire more, especially the girls, to come to sports, give them more confidence, to show different beauty of them. And also, especially in with the confidence, I think it's sports can really empower the girls, the women. So that's something I feel sports can really contribute.
Tell us, usually what do you do to raise awareness or affect some decision making in increasing the representation or participation of female athletes?
After 2006, I retired and I was nominated as a member for a Women's Sports Commission for IOC. And I remember my first meeting, I was really inspired by how the international sports federations and the International Olympic Committee trying to improve the gender equality among the sports. I was also very inspired by how sports can really help in this area. And for example, we are I think from 96, the Summer Olympics, there were only about 30% of participation on it's a women athletes. But from now, even in the winter sports, in Beijing Olympic Games, we already reached 45% of female athletes participate in the winter sports. In the summer will be equal 50-50 when the next Summer Olympic Games coming in Paris. So that's a big change in the last decades, I should say. For example, I was involved in the sports programs commission in IOC, and once there's a new sports event, once become Olympic sports, we set up the criteria that you must have women's participation in the sports format. Otherwise, it's very little chance to be Olympic sport. Actually, it was no chance to be Olympic events if you don't have the female athlete participation. So that's some area. But other than the professional sports, we also have a lot of activities to promoting women in sports, especially in the management. And we have the Women's Day, and we always award the people who is promoting in the women's sports area. So there's some programs we are very proud to present.
It sounds like it's an easier way. Basically, you issue requirement. If you don't meet such a requirement, and then you probably will be disqualified, or your participation will be affected. What about the situation like in China? And do you see some challenges that are probably difficult to deal with? What about the awareness?
Actually, in the professional athletes, like what I was doing, we are the women athletes we're quite lucky. And from the very beginning, when I was skating, I didn't feel the differences between men's and women's participation in sports. And actually, in quite a big period, our women's athletes, female athletes, had a better result than the men's athletes. But still, I think in terms of the public, like sports for all programs, definitely girls are not that motivated to participate in sports. That's a part of culture. But nowadays, I can see it's changing. And for example, for the girls, they are like to show their muscles, like to show the workout. So it is culturally, it's also changing. And I think it's important. On the other hand, I think it's important to have great athletes, especially female athletes, to inspire more women in participate in sports. For example, for the past Olympics, we can see there's some girls or female athletes did very well, and it really inspired the young kids, especially girls, to participate in women's sports.
The sports event can also play a role, probably, of setting good examples for other industries to follow.
Yes.
If there is basically gender equality, a better gender balance over there, probably that will produce some really positive effects throughout the society.
Yeah, if you sometimes people don't really like I just had a couple of days ago I had a meeting with the organization I'm working at now, the World Anti-Doping Agency, with all the female employees online meeting, and we were discussing about how can we support the female employees in the organization. That's also for sports organizations. We are not looking only on the field, but also in the employee side and in the leadership area as well, to just to have more involvement with with women's. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, women usually are undervalued, unfortunately, as a fact, probably in the society, in terms of their payment, in terms of the media attention. Even the top players, like this, I think this tennis star, Naomi Osaka, with a total earning of $60 million in 2021. She's the highest earning female athlete, but ranked only number 12 in the overall earnings. Obviously, there's a gap between men and women in terms of how much they earn, how much they were given, basically, because of probably a similar amount of work they put in. How big a gap is that? How big a problem is that? And how can we increase or narrow that gap?
Actually, it's not only in tennis. It's in many sports. In the business area, I think it's different. But in sports, it's very big challenge. It's not only tennis, but for example, the football, the basketball, any professional sports. You can see there's a huge gap between women's sports and the men's sports. And definitely in the last couple years, but quite a few years, women players are raising their this awareness to the sports organizations, but also to the business world. I think it is the voice has been heard, but how can we deal with it? How can we make it better? It's still under discussion, and but definitely you can see there is awareness has been raised.
Yeah, I mean, probably another case would be like a Chinese soccer team, the male soccer team and the female soccer team, right? The female team has done such a wonderful job, yet their payment is much lower than their male counterpart. We should do a better job probably to market and promote the event, of their competition.
Yeah, many countries they have a different policy, but I also think about how can we to make it more balanced from the policy setup. For example, in the school events, if we have the men's are making more, men's league making more business value, but how can we use this power to save time to balance the women's side? I don't say equal, but at least the participation, at least some benefits can share with the women's league, and then I will be encourage more girls to participate in women's sports as well. So there's I have been stopped, but it cannot fix one day, but definitely some area we need to work on.
Right. Well, let's focus on the Chinese situation a little bit. Chinese women have been performing better in both individual and team competitions. Chinese women have dominated Team China's medal count at 7 out of the past 10 Olympic Games. How have Chinese female athletes, built up such a strength?
I think we are very, very lucky. In the Olympic sports, we have the equal standard of for the training or for the award after you win the race. So everything was the same with the men. So that brings the outcome the women's sports also we were encouraged by the fair the equals what's called aware awards. So that's I think that's why I think it's important once we have the professional sports in business, how can we set up a better system for not only for the men's but also for both sides to bring them together. It's very important.
Mm-hmm. Well, since sports in the sports world, the government in China plays a very important role. Are you saying that the government or the management, the specific management, they stress very much about this equal treatment or the equal environment?
Yes, I grew up in a sports system, and I always feel I've been taken care of very well. I didn't feel differences between as a women athlete or men's athlete, and only as long as you're good enough, and you always have the same benefits, same everything. So I guess that's because of at the very beginning, our sports administration did a very good job with the balance or with the didn't have the differences.
Okay, so based on the merit, for the general public, Yang, what benefits does the sports provide for girls and women? At the same time, what barriers do females face in sports participation?
I think that we all know what's the benefits for girls, for women. Definitely, you have a better health, you have better confidence, and also you have more opportunities to participate in a social work, and also it's many benefits. Sports is a very very beneficial event. But for the barriers, I think it's sometimes because culturally, women don't really active in the sports. But it has been changing. But still, in many areas, we need to promote sports value for girls and let the parents to understand. It's also important to provide opportunity for the girls to participate in sports. So yeah, I think there's still a lot of things we can do or we should do to help to promote the sports among the especially the young kids.
Mm-hmm. So obviously there's a role to play by the family, by school, public institutions and the government to increase awareness, to provide a better, probably more equal opportunities and environment over there.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Yang. Thank you for your time and insights joining our show. With that, we come to the end of today's show. Many thanks to our guests. You can also find us on the CGTN app on YouTube. I'm Xu Qinduo. Thank you for being with us. See you next time.